Hello guys, welcome back. We are here for another video. It is the TCG Worlds 2025 tournament today. So I'm going to be heading over to the Ox Shed in a bit to play some TCG, hopefully win a few games. But yeah, we're going to be doing a bit of a video through today. I'm going to be doing some recording in the venue. Actually got stuff to record with this time, so yeah, should hopefully be quite good. But I wanted to do this little recording here before we head round, just so I can kind of tell you guys what I'm going to be playing today, like what deck we're going to be using, a little bit of an overview. So I've got my deck box here. So if I open this, you will see the full deck list, like here on the screen now. But yeah, so this is the deck that I'm going to be playing. It is an Ethan's Typhlosion deck, which is very similar. If you watch the Destined Rivals event, pre-release event video, it is a similar deck to what we played in that. I'm just going to shuffle it a little bit now, but you should be able to see the deck list on screen right now. So we are running 4 Ethan's Syndical, 4 Ethan's Galar, 3 Ethan's Typhlosion, 2 Dreepy, 2 Dracloak, 1 Dragapult EX, 2 Victini, 1 Pheasantipity EX, and a Shaman, 4 Ethan's Adventures, 2 Arvans, 2 Ionos, 2 Crispins, 2 Professor's Research, 1 Mela, 1 Fennel, 3 Ultra Balls, 3 Buddy Buddy Poffins, 2 Rare Candy, 2 Night Stretcher, 1 Ticket, 1 Counter Catcher, a Max Rod for our Ace Spec, 2 Brave Bangles, 2 TM Evolutions, and then 2 Gravity Mountains, and 1 Artisan. 5 Fire Energy, 2 Psychic Energy to round out the deck. How I want this deck to play should be relatively simple, so I will, let me just find one of them. So the Quilava, the Syndical line is going to be kind of the crux of the deck. We want to be using Ethan's Quilava. I don't know why I'm holding the card up, I just put it over here. You guys will be able to see it. But yeah, Ethan's Quilava, the ability, Bonded by the Journey, allowing me to search my deck to find an Ethan's Adventure, which then allows me to search my deck and find Ethan's Pokemon or Fire Energies, therefore enabling us to get Ethan's Typhlosion, which has a 1 energy attack on it called Buddy Blast, which does more damage based on the number of Ethan's Adventures you've used. For those of you that don't play the Pokemon TCG and have never tried to play the Pokemon TCG, the reason I'm only running 4 copies of Ethan's Adventure is because that's the maximum you're allowed to. You're not allowed to run more than 4 copies of one card in a deck. So yeah, that's why I'm not doing that. Otherwise, I'd run like 12 and I'd just one-shot everything, but then the game wouldn't be fair. So, you know. But yeah, got my deck box. I'm really lucky. I've got a really cool deck box. It's literally a Premier Ball. It's great. But yeah, so I feel pretty ready. I've been playing some TCG live to practice for this tournament. I did go to the League Challenge that they ran at the end of July, and I didn't win a game. So the target today is 1 win. Setting the bar low, I'm aware. But we'll see what happens. Like I say, I'm going to be recording in the venue, assuming my opponents are okay with it. Obviously, I'm going to check with them before each match. I'm not going to record like audio or anything. I'm just literally going to record the gameplay itself, and I will talk over it later. So yeah, we're going to see how it goes. I'm also getting a couple of packs from the Ox Shed today. Some of them I will open today. I might record it in case we pull anything. Some of them I'll be opening on tomorrow. Well, at time of recording this tomorrow's stream, at time of this video going live, it will have been the Monday because I'm recording this on the Sunday, hoping to upload it on the Wednesday. So yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, we will see what we can do. Hopefully Typhlosion and Co will come in clutch for us. The other highlight card, obviously the Dragapult EX. It is a massively meta card in Pokemon TCG right now. Dragapult EX, it is like every deck runs it nearly. Same with the Pheasantipity, to be fair. The Pheasantipity is just there for draw. I'm not really there to actually attack with it. But the Dragapult is just big damage and softens up bench Pokemon, which is quite useful. So we're going to be hoping that we can make things happen. But yeah, like I say, full deck list. You've seen the full deck list. I'm kind of giving you an overview on how it's going to work. I don't really know. I don't want to go too into detail because I'm still very much learning my way in the TCG. So I don't want to say, oh yeah, this is gospel. This is how this deck should be played when I'm probably not making optimal decisions yet. But it's fine. We'll be back. We're going to go over to the shed and see how the tournament goes. Hopefully we can pick up one win at least. I would like to go 2-2 today, but let's get one win under our belt and go from there. Yeah, I will see you guys when we get over to the Ox Shed in a bit. So, well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So we are now at the Ox Shed. As you can see, we are loading into the tournament. This is game 1. All of the game footage just gonna be playing in the background. I'm gonna do a little bit of post commentary here and kind of talk you through what was going on. So yeah, really enjoyed this tournament. This tournament was really good fun. We've got 3 games worth of footage. I've not edited the footage for each game. I'm gonna kind of leave it. Let me know down below what you think of the recording. I feel like it's worked out okay. But we're going to talk through the game. So yeah, this is game 1, playing against one of the guys at the Ox Shed that I know quite well. We've done quite a lot of trades. I see him up there quite regularly. Didn't know what deck he was going to be bringing, so I was a little bit apprehensive going into this one. But you can see us just getting set up and ready to go. Quick little handshake reveals he is playing Dragapult, which is one of the 2 decks that contested the World Championship Final on Sunday. So I was a little bit nervous going into a battle against a deck that is clearly one of the stronger ones in the meta at the moment. Not that my deck is necessarily particularly weak in the current meta, but yeah, so I am trying to get myself set up as quickly as possible, letting my opponent cut my deck because manners, just to make sure that I am not cheating. Not that I would ever do that, but yeah. And we kind of just work our way through. I go through my setup. I get a better initial starting hand, but there are enough good cards out there that the setup is relatively easy. You might lose a turn or 2 during like having to catch up, which, to be fair, with the deck that I play with Ethan's Typhlosion, it can make quite a significant difference. Getting set up a turn earlier, but he uses his Buddy Puffin, pulls out a pair of Dreepies. So I'm then immediately a little bit like, okay, we've got to start ramping, we've got to get going. Searching through that deck with the Arven as well. And yeah, it's weird, I don't know. A lot of the games, it's kind of a bit of a slow build. But once we actually get into the big turns, as you can see, his bench already rapidly expanding to 4 Pokemon. I am going to be working on the camera setup, by the way, going forward. It's not always going to look this bad, I promise. This was more just a first initial there. That was just so I've just attached the TM evolution to my Cyndaquil. I wanted to get the evolutions out, so evolving up my bench a little bit, getting a nice little bit of momentum. And currently it's looking pretty even. A couple evolutions coming out either side. I need to upgrade like my actual set of kind of things that I take to tournaments with me, because people had like little counters to put on their Pokemon to denote that they'd used abilities. All I have for that is just rotating the card 45 degrees, which isn't terrible, but it's not great, and I kind of want to make that better. And then, yeah, the Cursed Blast through is basically what he's doing with touching his card onto mine, is indicating, yeah, I'm using Cursed Blast, which is the Dusclops ability, to deal this amount of damage to this card, which does give me a prize card, so I take an early 1-0 lead, which is awesome. My Pheasantipity then gets pulled out to the front, which is a little bit scary, because I like having Pheasantipity, but then I get Budgewed. Budgew might be the single most annoying card in the game, I think. Just because it's a 0 energy attack that stops you from stops your opponent from using items from their hand. And a lot of decks rely quite heavily on items. But, you know, at this point, I'm set up. You can see I've rotated a couple of cards on my bench. I'm feeling pretty good. We are starting to ramp. We are starting to scale. There goes down one of the Ethan's adventures. So we get to search. We get to find all of our things. I'm grabbing a Typhlosion. Life feels pretty damn fine. I also am loving this playmat that this guy brought with him. I was set up. I was ready with my recording setup. He was like, "Oh no. You don't need your playmat. Look at what I've got." And he pulled this out of his bag, and I'm just like, okay, this is cool. We're going to use this. So, attach the energy to my Serendipity to retreat it, to get my Quilava back into the active spot. At which point, we use Combustion on the Budju to grab another knockout, grab our second prize card, and take a 2-0 lead. So, I'm feeling really good about myself right now. This battle is going well. I'm starting to scale into the late game. We're set up. We've got a nice full bench, which, as I went out through this tournament, I kind of realized how important it was to have quite a well-stocked bench. Yeah, I don't know. It was really, really useful. Like, I feel like across the tournament, I learned a lot. I will say now, game 3 of the tournament, I don't have the footage from. As I said before, obviously was checking with each opponent that I went up against, whether they were okay with me recording on the day, because, you know, I don't want to be that guy. I want people to be able to be comfortable and people to be able to enjoy themselves at these events, as much as it is cool to be able to make content from them. And yeah, my opponent in game 3 didn't want to record. She was relatively new to the game, didn't want me to record. I was completely okay with that. It is a little bit frustrating in hindsight, because game 3 was the closest game I played out of the lot. We both ended up down at 1 prize card at one point. I won't spoil the result of that game, we'll get to that. But yeah, we took that game really, really close. But as you can see on the screen here, my Serendipity getting counter-captured in. So by virtue of me taking this early lead, he's able to swap my Serendipity back into the active spot. And the Dragapult is now online, which is incredibly unfortunate for me, because Dragapult is just good. Even though I've managed to get myself a 3rd prize card through another Dusclops. Cutting my opponent's deck, because that makes things nice, using the Drakloak abilities. And I don't know, it felt weird. It was good to play against other people who are good at the game. And that might sound weird, because it's quite hard to get beaten, significantly. But the things that I have learned from both today, the Destined Rivals pre-release event, and the League Challenge event I went to a few weeks ago, the amount I have learned from people who are not necessarily like exceptionally good at the game, people they are good at the game. I'm not trying to say like some of the people I've played against at this tournament are bad at all. But yeah, it's really interesting how eye-opening and how much you can learn from players who are just good. And I know that might sound really weird, but yeah, I don't know. Learning from these people and being able to test myself and play against them is really cool. So at this point, we're feeling a little bit scared. Quilava is not feeling great, but we have another Ethan's Adventure, which will power us up further. It's annoying I don't have in shot how many prize cards my opponent is on. I'm realizing that now. But we've managed to claim ourselves 3, so we're feeling really good. And because I play a single prize deck, every knockout, unless it's Serendipity, every knockout equals 1 prize. So my opponents actually have to knock out 6 Pokemon against me. Whereas a lot of the time I only have to knock out 3. However, we may have scaled. We've not scaled quickly enough. I am going to pass the turn here to my opponent. I believe it's 3-3 at this point, as I fire off a Buddy Blast, but he will Phantom Dive and take the knockout. Moving on to game 2, very, very quickly, after taking an early defeat. Little cut there because I knocked the camera over. But playing against one of the younger competitors, that's the other great thing about the Pokemon TCG that I've been enjoying. People from any age can take part, and you don't get penalized for it. So I was playing against one of the newer players at the Oxshed. So the way that Pokemon works is you've got like the juniors division, the masters division, and the seniors division. You can play against people from all the different divisions, but each division is ranked separately. So you get the overall ranking, but each division is also ranked and rewarded separately to the main division, which is like the main division being masters technically, but all the divisions have their own like world championship and stuff. So it is really, really cool, and it was really cool to play against. I feel a little bit bad because I can't remember his name. But it was really, really cool to play against one of the newer players. Have a bit of a chat with him afterwards about his deck. He is playing Tinkaton EX, which is a very, very cool deck. It is one of the build and battle decks. They are really good for newer players who are learning the game to pilot. Like, they're really simple. They are effective if you can get them going. And they're a really good introduction. So I hope he's able to build on this deck and kind of come back. But we do get ourselves started. I do end up with a Dreepy in my active spot. Ideally, I'm always looking for a Cyndaquil to be up in that active spot, but Dreepy's not bad. If we get the early Dragapult out, we're feeling pretty good. Do get the early Buddy Puffin and the early Arven to stock our hand with Pokemon and items. We attach the energy and pass to kick things off, while we continue to build up our bench. A load of Flittles and a couple of Tinkatinks on my opponent's bench, and we remain at 6 prize cards each, staying relatively close for now. But Ethan's Adventure number 1 does hit the board. We grab a full Typhlosion line out, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. We've started to scale. We are threatening hitting critical mass. Because once this deck gets online, it just goes. And if it gets online before your opponent gets online, it can be incredibly tricky to come back. We have Quilava in the active. We get an early knockout with Combustion. So we move 1-0 up. And we are going to try and continue to keep the pressure on while my opponent hunts for their combo pieces and their powerful cards. Because that's the other thing about the Pokemon TCG. If anybody else, if anyone who's watching this video has been watching Worlds this year, you will potentially have seen some of the memes that have come out of the World Championship this year of people locking all of their combo pieces or all of their useful cards in their prize cards. It can happen. I think there's a clip of someone who's playing Goldengo, which is one of the strongest decks another one of the strongest decks in the meta at the moment, that locked 3 out of 4 of their Gimmighoul, which is the pre-evolution of Goldengo, in the prize card section, meaning they cannot use them unless they knock a Pokemon out and select that prize card. And they don't know which prize card is which. They just know that 3 of them are there. And it's incredibly frustrating. So maybe Pokemon need to do something about that, because I don't know. I don't know if I'm much of a fan of it, but thankfully I'm playing a deck that doesn't get too heavily punished by prize cards. I do also run a card called Redeemable Ticket, which if I notice when I'm going through my deck on searching that certain cards are missing from my deck, I can shuffle all of my prize cards back into my deck and set 6 new ones. So I can kind of change what's in my prize cards, which is really useful. If we take our first bit of damage in this second battle here from the Flittle, but we are already 2 prize cards to the good. attaching the Brave Bangle just to make sure that we are set up in case any big threats do hit the board. Drop the Iono. I know my opponent is starting to build up all of those combo pieces. I don't want them to have any, so they can go back into their deck. And we can keep going. But now with a 3-0 prize card lead. And I do feel a little bit bad. Because of the deck that my opponent was running in this game, it did result in the fact that I think his Tinkerton EX, which is like the main hitter, he is only running one copy of it because it's the Build and Battle deck, but I believe the Tinkerton EX that he was running did end up in his prize cards, so he could never have drawn it, which is a really unfortunate. I do feel, like I said, I do feel a little bit bad. But unfortunately, that's the way the game goes. You know, there could have been a world where I locked all 4 of my Typhlosions and my redeemable ticket in my prize cards. You know, that technically, albeit incredibly unlikely, that technically could happen. So the rest of this battle, we do just slowly clean up the remaining prize cards. We are gonna continue. At this point, I'm continuing to combo. I'm continuing to keep my board presence high. I don't want to run the risk of a potential comeback if Tinkerton EX is found. At this point, I don't know that it's in his prize cards. So we are gonna just battering ram our way through. There's the second. The Driftbloom comes up, and this was a little bit of a threat. So Driftbloom, Drifloon do more damage based on the number of damage counters, or the amount of damage that they've received. So they are definitely big threats. But you know, thankfully, and this is in part because we did get a bit lucky. I'm not afraid to admit that. Definitely did get a bit lucky in this game. But you can only play with the hands you're dealt, right? And fair play as well to like I said, fair play to my opponent. We had a good chat after the game as well about deck building and stuff like that, and he was really eager to learn. But now we move on to game 4. Like I mentioned earlier, game 3 we were not recording at my opponent's request, which I completely respect. Game 3 was a really close one. While we're setting up game 4 here, I'll just give a little bit of commentary on game 3. It was really back and forth. My opponent went 5-3 up in prize cards, and then I was lucky enough to hit a massive combo turn where I was able to pull a load of cards out of my discard pile back into my hand, and it enabled me to just squeak my way to a win. It was a really fun game. It's probably the most fun game I played on this day. But we go into game 4. I'm already at a 2-1 record. As I mentioned at the start of the video, 2-2 was the hope today. Winning a game was the target. 2-2 was the hope. And yeah, we go into the 4th game of the day with our 2 wins. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And we just see what happens. I did unfortunately have to mulligan and give my opponent an extra card. If you saw the dice on the top of my opponent's deck at the start of the game, that is what that means. Basically, if you start a game with no basic Pokemon in your hand, you have to shuffle your hand back into your deck and redraw, at which point your opponent gets to add an extra card into their hand. So yeah, not the best way to be starting a game off. But you know, it is what it is. The Screamtail setup does get the TM evolution off as well. And it's a very slow start on our side, which is really annoying. So we just have it. We end up with just a single Quilava in hand. And we have to try and build and ramp ourselves up. We don't draw the Ethan's Adventure, so we have to wait an extra turn to start ramping. And my opponent is playing Gardevoir EX, which, like I mentioned in the first game, Dragapult is one of the decks that took part in the World Championship final. Gardevoir EX is the other, and Gardevoir EX is the one that ended up winning the World Championship. Because when it gets online, It is nigh on unbeatable. God of War EX with Monkidori is very, very strong. And I felt the full force of it in this game. We do end up claiming a couple of prizes, but yeah, most of this game is just me getting a little bit of an ego check, getting a little bit rolled. But it is what it is, you know, sometimes it happens. Attaching the energy, ticking up the damage on the Scream Tail, but will enable the knockout. I need to actually, like, read what Scream Tail does. Because I still don't really understand it, if I'm being completely honest. But sure. It basically is a 2 energy guaranteed knockout, I think. It might I need to read what that card actually does. But yeah, we are faced with an incredibly difficult scenario, and you'll see why this is an incredibly difficult scenario when we get to the end of this game. I did notice, and I will show it as well, at the end of the game, why this game was so difficult. Because we are already struggling, and it does not get any easier, and it is thanks, in large part, to the prize cards. We go searching for a couple of things out of our deck in a minute, realise we can't find them, and then think, we are a little bit fried. But yeah, my opponent able to get the Psychic type energies back into their deck to enable the Gardevoir to scale up and start firing. Thankfully, my deck is geared to a point at which it can deal enough damage to overcome these Gardevoirs, but now with my opponent being set up, it does get increasingly difficult. We are we have taken a prize card at least, so it's not a whitewash. I didn't get whitewashed in either of our defeats today. Sorry, spoilers. But yeah, it didn't go great. And it doesn't go great from here onwards, honestly. But that's fine. Partially, maybe I was playing inefficiently, and also partially due to luck. You can't guarantee, you know. There will be days where you play perfectly, and no matter what you do, you could never have won. And there will be days where you're playing like a fool, but no matter what you do, you cannot lose. So it's kind of just to take the good with the bad. Unfortunately, today was not my day for this matchup, at least. But I can't complain about some of the good luck in some of the earlier battles. We do see the Gardevoir retreated here to pull another Scream Tail back to the front to have the energy attached using the Gardevoir ability. Damage gets transferred onto my Victini. The knockout from the Scream Tail comes through, and at this point I am floundering. My board is a Cyndaquil and a Victini. Thankfully we get the Buddy Buddy Poffin down, so we at least get to strengthen up our board a little bit. We get both Victinis onto the board. Victini very quickly becoming one of my favourite cards in this deck. The Max Rod probably being the other, because that card proved its usefulness to me today at this event, and yeah, it is just really damn good. It's really useful. We grab the Typhlosion onto our active spot with the rare candy. We are trying to fight back. We attach one energy directly with the Crispin, one goes into our hand, and we get a knockout onto the Scream Tail before it can roar another one of our Pokemon away, claiming our second prize card of the game. I'm at least happy that we were able to do something into these really big meta decks. Not that Typhlosion is a bad deck in the current meta, but it certainly is not as good as Gardevoir or Dragapult. So being able to at least put up somewhat of a strong showing into these meta decks is encouraging, and I will only continue to learn and improve as I play the game more, so I can hopefully optimize a little bit of my gameplay. but we shall see what we are able to do. Earthen Vessel will result in my Typhlosion being taken out. The energies will be retrieved. I believe this is the turn that my opponent wins. I'd already done the maths in my head, and I think they were guaranteed to win here. They were like my opponent. I know my opponent was feeling a little bit under the weather during this game, so they were like, "I think you're right, but let me do the maths anyway, just in case." Because yeah, I mean, it's understandable. It is completely understandable. Whilst my opponent just grabs even more energy out of their discard pile, because that is the great effect of Gardevoir EX. It is just an energy granting machine. We see one of the knockouts there with Munkidori. That is why we're moving the damage around so much. And there goes my Typhlosion. We're not quite gone yet, but we are on our last legs here. A 40 HP Victini and a Quilava in the active spot. I'm going to Iono to try and reduce my opponent's hand size down a bit, but I don't think it's going to matter at this point. I get my 4 cards for my 4 prizes, and yeah, there's not a lot doing at this point. This is the turn I was on about where I'm like, yeah, my opponent will win here. There's nothing I can do about it, but they will win. Yeah, just unfortunate. Just really unfortunate circumstance. What can you do? You know, what can you do? I am convinced at this point that I've had it, and I am just waiting for the knockout blow to come through, which it eventually does, because those energies get attached for 20 damage each, knockout, and the knockout, and shake hands to finish. So yeah, that is how the tournament went. It was a really, really fun event. Again, as always, Juan and all the guys at the Oxshed always do a really good job with these things. It's been really, really enjoyable going down there and kind of getting involved with the community. But yeah, like I say, we hit our goal today. 2-2, we came 7th overall out of 16 attendees, and you can see our prizes up there. The packs I've already opened on stream. We didn't get a lot, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. And I've got my 2 World Championship stamped Pikachu promos here as well, which is really, really cool. Onward to the August League Challenge. I will probably be doing another video for that, to kind of give you guys a bit more of a showcase of how that goes. I'll also probably edit that one down a little bit more, so it's only like the interesting bits of battles. I kind of wanted to show the full stuff here just because, I don't know, kind of because I can, and it interests me. And I know a lot of people who watch this might not have seen what a Pokemon TCG game actually looks like before. So I figured I'd show you guys what that is, but we probably will edit them down a bit more going forward. Thank you to the guys at the Oxshed for letting me film, first of all, because yeah, that was really cool, and it was really, really nice, and they were all really, really helpful. I mean, they're always really, really helpful. They're amazing people over there. So yeah, I've not really got a lot else to say other than thank you guys all for watching. Like I say, the TCG videos are going to continue. I'm really enjoying the TCG at the moment. I've just done some research actually as well the last couple of days, and the UK Nationals next year in 2026 are in January. So that gives me like a 4-month training arc, 5-month training arc. So January regionals might be happening. Just saying. Watch this space for that one. Either way though, guys, that is going to be it for this video. That is going to be everything from me. Thank you all for watching. This has been Pokemon TCG Worlds 2025. I've been Enix. You guys have been amazing as always. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.